fitness.
My doctor. More exercise.
It is the summer of 1983 and Britain is experiencing exciting, if not downright bizarre times. In broadcasting, there is an announcement. We are soon to be getting something called breakfast television. In the pop charts, Boy George rules with his swinging gay rabbi look. And in the general election, it's been a Conservative landslide. This was just 1983. Although in football, people were abuzz with the sensations of those two rising clubs, Brighton and Watford. Up and down the country, people are starting to whisper, are the days of the traditional big boys all over? Elton John and Graham Taylor had been the unlikely marriage which so nearly took Watford to the title. And now Elton, who loves an unlikely marriage, is out to answer the critics.
We know we're not the most skillful side, but we play to our strengths. You know, we have to take the nastiness and the jealousy, because that's part of it. And if you let it get to you, then I think that's a sign of weakness.
At long last, Man United have their hands on a piece of silverware, having eventually beaten Brighton to win the FA Cup. But the Championship, the Championship belonged to Liverpool, who was still the team to beat. But with their record-breaking manager Bob Paisley now looking after the youth squad, it was boot-room stalwart Joe Fagan who took over. Graham Souness got a nasty shock when he looked in the mirror. But otherwise it was steady as she goes from the wise old heads on Copside. And an early chance to prove their mettle came in the Charity Shield when Paisley finally bowed out.
Paisley's 6th championship last season surpassed Sir Matt's own record of 5 First Division championships. They truly are giants among managerial figures.
So at Wembley it was goodbye to Paisley and Busby and hello to shirt sponsorship, with Crown Paints Liverpool taking on Sharp Electronics Man United in the Charity Shield.
Good touch by Stapleton, and Wilkins has got Brian Robson through. And the Manchester United captain opens the scoring in the 23rd minute. So a corner to United. McQueen gets a flick on, off the line, Robson bundled it in. Brian Robson got the final touch after Stapleton's efforts had been cleared off the line.
Villa Park was the place to be on opening day, as West Brom and Aston Villa kicked off the season with a Midlands goal glut.
Martin Joel. Oh, and Cross was in there, and so too was Zondervan. Oh, and Alan Evans was there.
I'm a man without conviction. I'm a man.
Waters, who turned well. Oh, it's gone straight through Barron.
Contradiction. You come and go. You come and go.
Thompson. It's 2-2.
The summer headlines were full of a 21-year-old Celtic striker called Charlie Nicholas. Here he is taking away a Chinese meal.
Let me take you to the place where membership's a smiling face.
And a brilliant goal!
Charlie had his pick of the English clubs, but chose Arsenal. Early chance to prove himself as Liverpool visit Highbury.
That's a useful ball for Dalglish. And here's Rush, deflection, Robinson, good save, Johnston. That's a fine ball. Hansen to Rush. They seem to find angles other teams don't appreciate. Lee. Dalglish. Lee again. Robinson. Back heel to Dalglish, surely. Yes, it was. It's on here. And Dalglish has scored. A quite magnificent goal.
There's a nervous air about England boss Bobby Robson as he prepares his team for a European Championship qualifier against Denmark, with Jesper Olsen hungry for success and Jan Molby just hungry.
My first memory was walking into the ground, possibly 2 hours before the game, seeing it already at that time, possibly 10,000 Danish fans there. And by the time we kicked off, there was nearly 20,000 there.
With Denmark full of confidence and England apparently intimidated, one rash penalty was always likely to turn the match. It did.
The replay shows that although Neil may have been shoved off balance by Busk, his left hand then definitely made contact with the ball after that.
Alan Simonson's spot kick made qualification unlikely, and the tabloids blamed Bobby Robson for undermining team confidence.
I don't know whether the players thought I didn't feel that we could win and was overemphasising their qualities and not ours. I don't know, but that wasn't obviously my intention because I knew it was a crucial match for us.
Dropped by England for the Denmark game, Glenn Hoddle has a point to prove as Spurs travel to Watford just a week later.
Barnes taking it superbly. What a fine run. He's gone all the way, Rostrom, and finishes in style. Here's Archibald lining up a shot. What a way to mark your comeback. Steve Archibald will think he's proved a point, and the Tottenham fans will agree with him. Galvin. Brook. Hoddle with a beautiful piece of skill. What a magnificent goal by Glenn Hoddle. He deserves those celebrations. Everything about that goal was glorious. The turn, the move into space, and at the end of it all, the chip into the far corner.
Everyone could see that England needed Glenn Hoddle, except it seems Bobby Robson. Glenn wasn't diplomatic.
It frustrates me when I hear people say, well, he doesn't play for England like he does for Tottenham. And you'll never see the real Glenn Hoddle for England if that's the case, if I'm going to be in and out of the side.
The Hoddle debate rages on. He's back against Hungary and produces a reminder of what could and should have been.
Hoddle! Oh, I say it! He's done it again! And Hoddle, brilliant!
Fresh from promotion thanks to their financial saviour Derek Dugan, Wolves are still looking for their first win of the season.
Joel, it's only to Hibbett. Now this is a chance for Wolves. They've got two men over here. And yes, by Danny Craney. And look at the delight on the faces. Well, Graham Hawkins, the manager, said, I don't mind how we play when we get our first victory, but let it come soon. They've been waiting all season. Cowdrill. Blair. Mardenberg has gone to the left. Danny Craney in possession. Wolves getting more players forward. Craney's made the opening and scores an absolute beauty. Well, it's all come right for the Scotsman and it's all come right for Wolves.
No, she's not Coventry's latest new signing. This is Stella May of the English Dance Theatre, called in by Bobby Gould to teach his players some new moves you won't find in the coaching manuals.
But you will find in the tired old BBC handbook of humorous sports angles, which inevitably ends with...
Who said Coventry were a bunch of fairies?
I don't know, who did? The tragedy is, this stuff seemed to work. Ask Liverpool.
Coventry's free kick to be taken by Stuart Pearce, who was playing in the Alliance League just a couple of months back. Little Gibson is there, and a good effort, and Gobard didn't hold it, and he held the second one, he did, it's there! And Plattenauer got in to score. And they've beaten the offside trap with David Bennett. There are three the other way for Coventry. And Bennett may go again, and Gibson off the post and in. And Bamber is forward, and Gibson shot, and number 3. Grobbelaar stands and wonders what's happened here. Look at those supporters, they can't believe this. And Gibson has beaten Neil. Is it on here for number 4? Gin and Bamber to his right, and Gibson has completed a hat-trick. What a marvellous day for Terry Gibson and for the supporters.
Following this stunning humiliation, the Anfield inquest got somewhat heated.
Joe would say a few things and sort of just throw, you know, some petrol on the fire about some people not doing this and some people not doing that without actually pointing the finger at people and wait for the reaction. And Kenny and I were generally the first ones to stand up and at that it happened several times, but I can remember that one vividly. Him and I were squaring up to each other.
Liverpool slipped to second following the Coventry disaster, trailing Man United by 2 points and with the pack closing. Souness and Dalglish have kissed and made up in time for a testing away trip to Portman Road, Ipswich.
Mariners touch and O'Callaghan following his own run forward, and Walk is through. And Johnny Walk. It's been played short for Dalglish. He's got it! That's the goal that Kenny Dalglish wanted. He's made history. No wonder the Liverpool players go to him. The first man to score 100 league goals for the same club in Scotland and 100 for an English club. But Kenny Dalglish is in the record books.
And kids, if you need it, here's solid proof that Kenny Dalglish wasn't always merely an expressionless, inscrutable manager type. The whole world knew about the goals of Kenny Dalglish. Why, he was even dubbed Big in Japan.
飲親都係最靚㗎嘛，冇錯啦。我話金花 XO 之中係最靚嘅。
The tortured wrangling over televised football finally works itself out, and British audiences are treated to the first ever live league action as Man United play Tottenham at Old Trafford.
Oh, and Stevens let it go, it's in! And Hoddle, O'Reilly's forward again with a header. Brazil's in there. Oh, that's a fine goal, Alan Brazil. A superb individual effort. Right across, and it's been driven in by Moran. And Moran's in there again. So too on the far side was Arthur Graham. And he makes it 3-1. Oh, it's a mistake by Ray Clements, and a goal. Kevin Moran in again, and Clements mortified.
West Ham are going well and challenging the leaders. There's a phrase you don't hear every day. Here's Arsenal at Upton Park.
Windlehurst coming in at the back. And turned in on the far side by Trevor Brooking. Well, that is a bit of a collector's item from Trevor Brooking. The Devonshire, really one man to beat. Yes, and I think it went in off Chris White. Devonshire. Brooking trying to tee it up and does. Whitten, and here is Pike. Yes, number 3. And Pike utterly delighted.
Another defeat sounds the death knell for Terry Neill, who is sacked as Arsenal manager. But he's not the only one under pressure. Charlie Nicholas is struggling for form and dropped amid allegations of commercial contracts, the high life and photo shoots. You know, the kind of things that these days put about $2 million on your price.
I know now that maybe doing a few photographs, you didn't think much of it at the time. You look back now and you see it in the newspaper and you say, God, that was silly. But as I said, you're young, you only learn by mistakes. It's all the time I probably learn. London was becoming quite lonely at a stage. When you're a youngster, I think you do need sometimes a cuddle and sympathy, and you need somebody to sit you down. And I was getting on great with the fellas in the dressing room. But I was a character, and I was a type of character who hid a lot of the criticisms that came away. I always had a front for everything, and it was hurt me really hard at that time, and I was quite alone at times.
A Boxing Day double against rival Spurs helped lift Charlie, who from then on resolved to only accept gigs that would enhance his reputation as an athlete. Well, who'd have thought it? It's Joe Fagan's Liverpool who celebrate Christmas as table toppers, with Man United, West Ham and QPR all close. Oxford United and Reading fans unite in protest against Robert Maxwell and his plans to merge the two clubs as Thames Valley Royals. Worse news is to follow for Man United fans as Maxwell launches an ambitious takeover bid for the club. The fans are outraged. Everyone else cheers on Captain Bob.
He knows nothing of us northerners. He's a southerner. Let's keep our management to the management of the north.
If it wasn't Manchester United, it might be Liverpool. He's just trying to get himself a decent side that's going to get tickets for Wembley every other season or something like that.
And a love of football as well, that must come into it.
Well, without the love of football, I wouldn't be interested. I'd be buying a yacht.
Maxwell's takeover bid has an unsettling effect on the club, which is reflected by a lousy FA Cup performance. Man United, the holders, beaten by Bournemouth. They then face a tricky league fixture against fellow title challengers QPR on their dreaded Loftus Road plastic.
Over the top to Fenwick, and Fenwick got the deflection off the defender. Robson, forward early, and again, and he's gone all the way. Finally taken by the England captain.
If we had our first 11 out, we were as good as Liverpool, but we always seemed to get injuries, and as soon as we got the injuries, we never seemed to be good enough to keep the momentum going, and we lost a lot of games at that time.
Momentum was certainly not a problem for Liverpool, as they go to Aston Villa with Ian Rush on a hot streak.
And here's Ian Rush, another chance for him. Williams couldn't get to him, and that's 1-1. This is Souness, and Nicol is the man coming in for the header, and Rush was on the far side. Oh, what a tremendous shot. Here's Steve Nicol. Oh, and he's hovering again. There is Rush. The man just can't be stopped.
Rush's unstoppable form continued into Europe, where Liverpool were in pursuit of their 4th European Cup.
And Rush.
An Ian Rush header was enough to see off Benfica in the quarter-final, but following a single goal in the semi-final home leg, Liverpool faced a daunting atmosphere in Romania against Dinamo Bucharest. Not daunting for Ian Rush though, who once again silenced the crowd with 2 crucial goals, as old First Division Liverpool did what the new Premiership teams seem unable to do in Europe: win away.
We used to enjoy it. You know, people say, oh, it must be terrible going to these places and all the rotten food and bad hotels and all that, but there was a sort of inner strength that we had at the time that you knew you had confidence in yourself and everybody around you, and you knew if you went in and did your best, then 9 times out of 10 we knew it was going to be good enough.
There was no mistaking the pitches where Spurs shares could be bought and sold, and even the odd scarf and rosette crept into the sober arena.
Tottenham's share issue is a sign of the Thatcherite times, as football becomes a way of making real money. Not that it worked at Tottenham, where a new stand almost crippled the club.
We think this is one way towards future prosperity, and I hope other clubs will follow our lead.
Tottenham's stock value soared thanks to a UEFA Cup run.
That's a fine ball, and here's Houghton and a chance in the middle for Archibald.
And despite seeing his team through to the UEFA Cup final, Spurs boss Keith Birkinshaw is becoming frustrated by the meddling of board members as a power struggle comes to a head.
They weren't happy that I was doing all the deals, buying and selling players and deciding what players' wages were going to be, which I'd always done, and it had happened very successfully. But they wanted to get in onto that side of things, and they wanted to take some of the power away from me. I could see that, and we had a big row about it.
Wherever I lay my head, that's my home.
I think that was a big mistake for the club, quite honestly. When I look back, I think that was something that didn't need to happen. It shouldn't have happened, and I think as a club they've regretted that.
Across North London, help is at hand for struggling Charlie Nicholas as Arsenal boost their strike force by signing England striker Paul Mariner from Ipswich. Mariner makes his debut in a key league game at the City Ground, with Arsenal and Forest trying to close the gap on Liverpool.
And Mariner's chasing hopefully here. Oh, he's made it! Paul Mariner with his first goal for Arsenal. Looks as though he's won them the match and the 3 points.
QPR and Southampton are also in the title hunt as they meet at Loftus Road.
Stainrod floats it in, and there comes Wicks. That's the opening goal, and Steve Wicks climbing higher than anyone else. Stainrod. Oh, lovely skill, but still 2 defenders. He's through them both, though, and Micklewhite. 2-0 to Rangers. Stainrod, Waddock, oh, and sees it creep in, just inside the post from Waddock's shot.
Victory takes QPR 5th, but as usual it's Liverpool and Manchester United opening a gap at the top. With Liverpool looking invincible, life on Merseyside is proving tough for the blue half of the city. Everton's young manager, A. Howard Kendall, has had a rotten season. The crowd remains supportive.
An angry reaction from the 13,500 faithful Everton fans.
They were bad times, yeah, because it affects everyone really, family. When your garage door's daubed, your Kendall out, and then at the end of the road on the wall, Kendall out, and it does affect a lot of people around you.
There's been a lot of talk about turning points in Everton's recent history, but one of them certainly came in a Milk Cup quarter-final at Oxford. They were trailing 1-0 with time running out when...
What a mistake has put Adrian Heath in, and he scored. Everton are back in it.
We were out, definitely, but you know, it's one game that everybody thinks that was a turning point.
Everton went on to the first all-Merseyside Wembley final, but lost the Milk Cup to Liverpool in a replay, thanks to this Graham Souness thunderbolt. But the signs were there. All they needed now was a big-name signing.
Everton are signing Maradona this afternoon. He arrived at Goodison Park and all the team was there and Maradona was here, and Kendall said, Maradona, this is Everton team. Everton team, this is Maradona. They're all going, all right there, Maradona, like, all right, like, you know. So Howard got this big blackboard and a bit of chalk, and he drew a ball on it, and he wrote B-A-double-L, ball. And Maradona said, Senora Kendall, I speak a very good English. He said, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to these lots over there, he said.
That's Gray in there, and there's Andy Gray. There's Gray.
Maradona, no, but the signing of TV's own Andy Gray from Wolves was another factor in Everton's revival.
I needed the change at Wolves. I was in great doubts about my own ability, and I got received brilliantly by them. Because I'm enthusiastic and a bit outgoing, I always wanted the ball and I was always looking for it, and I think the lads kind of responded to that.
I can't change the way I play. I mean, I've sort of got where I am because of the way I play, and if I stopped doing what I'd done 7 or 8 years ago, then I wouldn't be the player that I am now. It's 50–60% of my game, aggression and physical contact, and I certainly wouldn't envisage losing it from my game.
Andy Gray had sparked a revival, and Everton were now on an FA Cup run, travelling to Notts County in round 6.
Andy Gray was up, Richardson! The usual combination, Sheedy takes, and Andy Gray has scored! From a virtually horizontal position, he sent the Everton supporters sky high.
Inspired by this Trevor Brooking-style effort from Andy Gray, Everton then beat Southampton in the semi-final, and their fans were going to Wembley. Twice.
Everton will be out to prove that they are every bit as good as their Merseyside rivals Liverpool by winning this FA Cup.
Yeah. They'd have done it better by beating them in the Milk Cup, wouldn't they, really?
I suppose so, yeah.
Graham Taylor's Watford are also on a cup run despite an injury crisis which forces him to blood 1 or 2 youngsters, and even has him advertising in the Times for fit and healthy players to join the club.
I think you must take your job seriously, but never take yourself too seriously. And we never did at Watford, really. I mean, we were serious, there's no doubt about it, but never at the expense of not being able to have a good laugh.
What you should have been saying is saying something early. Talk to him.
Watford's Route 1 style still meets with success, but these days with added finesse, thanks to the emerging brilliance of a young John Barnes.
Look what you done to me. I'm utterly at your whim. All of my defenses down.
Barnes is on top form as Watford take on Birmingham in the FA Cup 6th round.
Oh, lovely skill. A magnificent goal. Moment of skill that would grace any match. Barnes at the far post. It's 3-1.
The prospect of a semi-final against 3rd Division Plymouth Argyle saw Watford fans quietly confident. Meanwhile, Plymouth hadn't seen a queue like this since the local box office misspelt the phrase free tenors. Elton John would miss the game, but he didn't sound too sad about it.
Even if I was here, or I couldn't physically be here, I don't even think I'd go. I'm so superstitious about things like that.
Watford and Plymouth finally meet at Villa Park.
Here's Barnes. Riley's coming towards the near post. Oh, he got a fleck and it's there! George Riley came in and Watford are in front after 13 minutes.
In the league, Man United do crucial battle against fearless Coventry City. Watch out for 12-year-old Mark Hughes and a 9-year-old Paul McGrath.
Moran. McGrath. Graham. Hughes, yes! And here's Moran. Matched by the goalkeeper, is out of his ground. And McGrath gets his first goal for United. Stapleton. Hughes.
A victory for United, but poor form on the run-in handed the initiative to Liverpool, who are closing in on a third successive title as Ipswich try their luck at Anfield.
And Gate shoots and scores. Lee, it's come back to Phil Neal to drive, and Kennedy might hit one, and what a goal! And Lee, Walks made his run near post, and it ran on, and now Ian Rush has equalled Roger Hunt's record. Nice ball into Davray, here's Gates, oh that's a tremendous goal! Well, we're having a treat today.
With their rivals faffing about, Liverpool trotted out at Notts County to win their 14th League Championship, only the third team to win 3 straight titles. 0-0 on the day, a lousy match marked a magnificent milestone.
A fantastic achievement for the club, the first to do it in 3 successive years since Arsenal in the 30s. It's something
not bad at all, is it? I don't think we ever think about these things. I think we leave it to other people to sort the
statistics out.
Couldn't say that word, John. I still can't say it.
Last Saturday of the season, and a fond farewell to 2 England faves, Kevin Keegan and Trevor Brooking. Keegan after 63 caps, Brooking after 47. The 2 worked so well for England, except for the World Cup in Spain. Thanks a lot for that, fellas. However, with impeccable timing, Keegan signed off at Newcastle with a goal.
Whatever I've given Tyneside, it's given me 100 times as much, and I just thank the people up here, and I hope I'm always their friend. I can tell them one thing, they'll always be my friends up here, you know. I thank them very much.
For all the plaudits Keegan received on his retirement, nothing could match the honour bestowed on Trevor Brooking. Some people have roses named after them, others ships. Trevor?
It gives me particular pleasure and very flattered and honoured to name the house Trevor Brooking.
I promise you, this is not a sketch. I'll prove it. This is a sketch. Freddie Starr runs through the act as Everton prepare for Wembley.
How are you, John, all right?
Yes, fine, thank
good.
you.
Is that your wife?
Yes. We've had a lovely evening together. Very peaceful.
Ah, the old footballer's a gay routine. No such nonsense over at Watford, where in Elton John's absence, Michael Barrymore shows the boys how to avoid stress.
I'll see you later. Hello, Barnesy. You're not Barnes. Come here.
I remember watching the build-up, and I think that we won the build-up to the cup final anyway, because we seemed to be having more fun, and we had everything organised much more than they did.
Where the hell have you been?
Psychologically, we got to Watford, because we always remember, as a team, listening to Graham Taylor on television pre-cup final, when he was saying, "This is a wonderful occasion for Watford. It doesn't matter whether we win or lose." And we're thinking, "Oh yeah, well it does to us."
And so, as they entered the arena, it must be true. Watford at Wembley. It was all too much for Elton John, and it was all too much for Watford.
And the cross headed half away, and Stephen Sharp, and a goal for Everton by Graham Sharp. Stephen again. Graham Sharp waiting in the centre. And Gray is closing in here. Oh, and Sherwood didn't collect, and the goal is given.
I guess that's why they call it the blues. Time of night.
A memorable moment for Evertonians everywhere.
Acting like children, living like lovers, rolling like thunder under the covers.
There was an emotional goodbye to Spurs from manager Keith Birkinshaw as he signed off with the club by winning the UEFA Cup final over 2 legs against the Belgians and the Lecht. At White Hart Lane, a late equaliser from Graham Roberts was the prelude to a dramatic penalty shootout, won by this famous save from substitute keeper Tony Parks. Liverpool fans were off to Italy for the European Cup final against FC Roma in their own Olympic stadium. The ticket allocation was high on the agenda.
There's the Pope on his rostrum, you know, and all the Liverpool supporters are in Vatican Square, and the Pope comes down off his rostrum and he says to the supporters, have you got any spares, lads?
Yeah, he's got all about it.
We were in the tunnel before the match, but we were singing. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And it was Samuel Lee who just started singing it, and we just joined in.
And you know, gradually 2 or 3 started singing, then 5 or 6 or 7.
We were standing there, and the Italians, they just couldn't believe it. What was going on? I mean, we sung it to a man. I mean, I can't sing for toffee, but I started belling this song out, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? But it seemed to have an effect on them. We hadn't got a clue what was happening. When the second Italian missed, they're all going, well, what happens now? And I'm sort of going, well, they've missed 2, we've missed 1. So I said, well, if we score this penalty kick, then we'll win the European Cup. And then I went, yeah, but Alan Kenny's taking it.
I didn't think it would come down to penalties. Nobody thought it would come to penalties. So when it did, the fact was that my record stood good.
Liverpool are European champions! What joy!
Elation is the word to describe it, and you just cannot believe it. And everybody's jumping about the place, and it's just a wonderful feeling.
It's well done, Liverpool.
I can remember crying that night, and with just joy. You know, what a way to finish your career at that club, and we really celebrated that night.
So, a triple trophy triumph for Joe Fagan and Liverpool, and a triple vermouth and soda for Elton John and the boys at Watford. However, despite Liverpool's domestic omnipresence, there was to be no British representation at European Championship for the first time since 1967. For the first time. See you for another history lesson next week.
Up next on BBC One, a classic album from '76, one of the finest from Stevie Wonder.
Scotland.